We promised you a 1,200 mile trip in a previous video linked above, and we're getting ready to go. Here we are getting all charged up. We're going to charge it up to 95% tonight, top it off in the morning right before I leave, and then we're headed to Cambridge, Ohio, ultimately to Sanibel Island, Florida.
Welcome back to E-Hermes, your electric adventure travel channel. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content. We are ready to head out. We have 93% range, 272 miles. Our destination, the Cambridge, Ohio Electrify America charging station at the Walmart, is 121 miles away. Plenty of juice to get there. Says we'll be there at 7:50 a.m. So let's get started. First thing we have to do is figure out how to turn the windshield wipers on. I thought there was an automatic. Oh, I bet that's it. Let's see if that's it. Okay, here we go. Not exactly ideal driving conditions here in Northeast Ohio today. We've got through the traffic at rush hour of Akron and Canton. Now we're into the more rural areas of eastern Ohio, heading down towards Cambridge for our first charging stop, but I really hope the rain stops sometime. We're having fun now. Well, the rain has let up just a little bit, but it has been pouring cats and dogs the whole way down here. We're pulling up to the exit. Well, we have to get off on Interstate 70 for one exit, and then we'll be at Cambridge, Ohio to the Electrify America fast charger at the Walmart Superstore. We're going to be there for a while because this is the one that we have to get a full and complete 100% charge at, because the state of West Virginia does not have a single DC fast charger in the entire state over 50 kW except for Tesla superchargers, and that won't work with this truck. So I have to get from here in Cambridge, Ohio to Whiteville, Virginia, 262 miles in the rain and through the mountains. So I'm going to get a completely full charge. I'm probably going to limit my speed to 60 miles an hour to start with. We'll see how things are going. If I can pick up the pace a little bit as I get closer to the end, I will. But the only other choice is level 2 chargers in Charleston and Beckley, and that would take literally forever. So I am just going to get a full charge here, and then we will maintain a reasonable speed, less than reasonable speed, to make sure we get to Whiteville. Let's get over to them. I have the app up on my phone. I will pull up the cabinet I'm going to park at, and we'll get plugged in. We will have to see if this is accurate. It is saying that we started at 8:09, and to get to 100% it will be 10 a.m. Almost 2 hours, which is a little surprising. I know it drops off precipitously after 80%, but right now we're getting 166 kilowatts of charge from the charger, so that's pretty good. So that means the second 50% is going to take almost 2 hours if this is accurate. I hope that's not the case. So in 15 minutes we went from 44% to 71%. It has slowed down to 116 kilowatts. When I first plugged in I was getting 166. Still says we'll be here until 10 o'clock, another hour and a half to get the last 29%. I would normally never charge beyond 80%, but because the state of West Virginia is not being very EV friendly, let's say, I'm forced to sit here for another 50 minutes to get the last 20%. After this stop, there's plenty of other chargers. It's the only one where I have to do this, but it's a rather painful way to get started. If I was towing a trailer, there's no way I would be able to get through West Virginia without spending a night and charging all night. So when I do tow a trailer down to Florida, I'm going to go down Interstate 75 through Cincinnati and Kentucky and Tennessee, because I just can't deal with West Virginia this way. So first of all, the charger shut off at 82%. I'm not sure why I had the truck set to 100%, but it did, so I had to get out and re-hook everything up and unhook it, rehook it, pay again, authorize payment. And it's charging fine now. It's down to 20 kilowatts, and I think it'll stay this or maybe even drop further, which is bad. It's really bad, but It's better than 8 or whatever you'd get at a NEMA 1450 or even a level 2 destination charger. So we're just going to keep sitting here. So we're down to 11 kilowatts charging speed here at 96%. The truck says I should leave and go to Astorg Auto, I believe it's called. They say there's a CCS charger at 29 kW, which is a lot faster than 11. It's not great. I don't consider that fast, honestly, but they do. And then there's a 1772 that's 12 kilowatts, so it's the same as this, or a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go walk into Walmart one more time, use the restroom, come back out, take what I got, and head off to Astorg Auto. Here's the plan. I have 268 miles of range. It is 262 miles to get there. Now, do I really have 268 miles of range? I'm not sure. It wants me to stop at 139 miles at that auto dealership and charge a little bit. I'm going to go and see how things go. Total is 262 miles to get down to Whiteville. I think if I go 60, I might be able to get to 262 miles without stopping. What we're going to do is we're going to get close to Charleston, see how we are compared to how far we have to go and how much range it says we have then, and make a decision whether we need to add a little bit or not. Still raining as we enter West Virginia, land of no DC fast chargers. All right, so we're about halfway to Charleston, West Virginia, which is where they recommend I get off to charge. It's a little ways off the highway. It looks like the fastest speed is about 15 kW, so it's a pretty bad charger. I think I have enough to get to the DC fast charger in Whiteville at the speed I'm going. I'm only going 60, which is costing me time, but I think it's costing me less time than if I had to get off, go to this charger. It looks like it's maybe 10 miles off the route. Go to that charger, sit there for an hour. I don't think driving slower is costing me that much time, plus the time to get there and back. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to push the limit here and hope I get to Whiteville. So at the moment of decision, I will have gone 130 miles, halfway. I started with 98, I'm at 56, so I have used 43% of the battery, and I have 56% of it left. So I think I'm going to easily make it, and in fact, I'm probably going to pick up the speed a little bit going forward because I don't think I need to be driving this slowly. So I'm definitely not going to go to the slow charger here in Charleston. I'm going to head all the way to Whiteville. So the top number of the two on the upper left corner is the range, and the bottom number is the distance to my destination. You can see that I'm upside down. 86 miles of range to go 89 miles. But that top number is an estimate. They call it a guessometer because it really is a guess. I still have 36% of the battery, so I think I'm okay. If 30% of 300 miles would be 90, I've got to go 89, but I've got 36, so I've got like an extra 10 or 12 miles, which is more than enough. I'm glad I did not go to the slow charger, but on the other hand, I have slowed down, and now we're getting into construction, so it's going to be slow anyhow, which will increase my efficiency and extend my range. I have received a warning that I have low driving range. I have 30 miles of range left. I have 29 miles to go. Perfect. As we leave West Virginia and enter Virginia, we shake the mud from West Virginia for our tires in protest of them not having DC fast chargers. Chargers unavailable. Nearest charger is outside of your range. Plan to find a power outlet where you can charge. I really hope that's not the case. As you get closer to the bottom of the battery pack, the guessometer becomes more accurate because the calculation has less room for error because there's less capacity. So now it says I have 16 miles of capacity to go 14 miles, so we're going to have plenty of extra juice left over. We could have gone a little faster, a little sooner.
Be in the right lane, then take exit 40 toward Bristol.
Oh Oh look, it's raining. Imagine that. So here we are pulling up the Sheets in Whiteville. The Chargers, I believe, are in the
Turn
back.
left at the traffic light, then take the first left.
Looks like we're going to roll in with 4% state of charge, which is more than enough. That's kind of a waste. Should have driven a little faster, a little sooner. We like to pull in anything over 5% is bad form, in my opinion. So 4% is acceptable, but you can take it down to 1%. Just make sure you don't miss your exit or anything like that if you're cutting it that close. So we have 3 possibilities in range after this charger. Statesville, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Columbia, South Carolina. The Columbia, South Carolina...
In 400 feet, turn left, then arrive at Electrify America, Sheets.
Seems to be pretty far off the highway. So we're going to put enough in here to get to comfortably to Charlotte,
Turn
North
left,
Carolina.
then arrive.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, we're going to put enough in here to get to Charlotte, North Carolina comfortably, and then we will reevaluate our next stop after that. But we made it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm opening the app on my phone, which I should have already had opened. I'm going to select this station. Unit 4 is the one I'm pulled up to. And as soon as I get out, I will swipe and then go charge. Somebody's not having a good day. So now we have proven that with the extended range battery pack, and by the way, I have about 500 pounds of gear in the frunk and the bed, plus 200 pounds of me. We were able to make that with staying between, 5 miles under the speed limit, I would say, on average. We were able to make that 262-mile trip. From here on out, it'll be just regular, there's chargers every 100 miles or so it won't be an issue like this. So if they just added one charger in either, I don't know, Beckley or Charleston, West Virginia, it would be great. But until they do, if you have a standard range or you're pulling anything, you're gonna have to find another route because you're not gonna be able to make it. Our next stop is going to be Charlotte, North Carolina. It is 140 miles away. I have 182 miles of range, 70%. I actually could have left sooner, but I was still getting 130 kilowatts of charging at approaching 70%, so I decided to stick with that. That seems to be the major difference I've seen so far between the Tesla and this. The Tesla starts off charging much faster, especially the 250 kW station. It can get up to 250, but it drops right away. And this seems to hold the charge pretty steady. In fact, it increased. I started at about 117 when I first pulled in and ended at 130. So I'm pretty pleased with the charging curve at the Electrify America stations. Not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not, but there is the sign for entry into North Carolina, leaving Virginia, and oh yeah, you are going to go see it, entering North Carolina. Next stop, Charlotte, in 98 miles. So this has been a much more typical, relaxing segment. The weather's gotten a little bit better. We have 84 miles of range, 40 miles to go to the charger. We've skipped over one charger. So when the chargers are spaced appropriately, all the stress we had trying to stretch that last one, especially for the first time when I hadn't done it before, that all goes away when the chargers are where they need to be, which chargers really should be every 100, 150 miles, something like that. 262 almost, that's approaching 300 miles. That's not reasonable. So West Virginia really needs to get on the stick. I know I've kind of harped on that a little bit, but it really is a problem. And like I say, if you had a standard range, I don't think you could make it. So I don't know what you'd have to do, honestly. I think you'd have to go to that level 2 and sit there for a long, long time. So that would really be unfortunate. But we are through Statesville, North Carolina, and approaching Charlotte. We'll get charged there and then back on the road. We did manage to get to Charlotte right at rush hour. So for $2 or $3, I'm going to get in the express lane because it really does seem to be express. There's hardly any traffic over there, and this has been stop and go for about a half hour. Bill by mail tolls are higher. Oh well, how high could they be? I guess we'll find out. This is much better. Did I say much better? It is much, much, much better. We are just leaving the Charlotte, North Carolina Electrify America station and headed for Charleston, South Carolina. I stayed too long in Charlotte. I stayed to 85%. At 80% it drops to 60 kilowatts from 120 roughly. I thought I could stay a little longer and get to basically Savannah, Georgia and skip South Carolina altogether, but I would have had to stay a lot longer. I misread how far it was, so that was on me. A couple other interesting things though. So I did stay too long. The traffic in Charlotte was terrible. And as I was leaving the station back on the highway, I was looking at the map and trying to figure out if I could get to the one in Savannah and skip Charleston, but I can't. But there was a couch in the road. I don't know if it fell off a truck or something, right in the middle of the lane, two of them actually. And because I was looking at the road, I saw it. The car did not seem to see it. I'm not sure it would have or not in time if I hadn't seen it and changed lanes. But after the wheelbarrow accident, and there'll be a link to that above, that we had with the Tesla, that it did not see a wheelbarrow laying in the road and I hit it. I was glad that this forces your eyes to the road. I have not made a judgment yet on my preference between the two driver assistance features, and that's partly because they are two different things. Tesla is trying to be really self-driving, and I don't think Ford is. I think Ford is strictly driver assist. I don't think Tesla is self-driving. In fact, I know it isn't. But I think they do things to reach that goal, towards that goal, where Ford, I think, is concentrating on driver assistance, but not attempting to have the vehicle really have control. So we'll talk more about that later. I want to drive it a little bit more before I make a judgment on which one I like better. It seems they have pros and cons in different areas, but the couches kind of gave me a bad memory of the wheelbarrow incident with the Tesla, so that's going to factor into my decision. And here we are now entering South Carolina. And once in a while you come across something like this.
So this is Waterboro, South Carolina. I went into Walmart, got a chicken wrap. We're gonna have that. I think we're gonna stay here long enough that we can skip Georgia altogether and get to Jacksonville. And there I'm probably gonna sleep for a few hours.
We're gonna have a little change in plans. Instead of going, stretching it all the way into Jacksonville, I'm actually not gonna go to Jacksonville at all. We are going to go to Brunswick, Georgia, and I'm gonna get some sleep because I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep for a couple hours, and then we're gonna get up, and then we're going to avoid Orlando by going down Route 301 through the central part of the northern part of Florida, over to 75 instead of taking, I think it's 10 through Orlando, which is, maybe it's 4. I think it's 4 actually. It's just miserable, especially in touristy season, which it is now and kind of always is. So by doing this, we're going to avoid that, and we also avoid Jacksonville that way, stopping there. So we're going to stop for the night in Brunswick, Georgia, and then I think our first stop tomorrow is interstate. Yeah, I don't know, Ocala perhaps. I'd have to look at a map. And then we have one more stop outside of Tampa, and then we'll be to the house, to Sanibel Island. And here we are entering Georgia, leaving South Carolina. Good morning from, where am I? Brunswick, Georgia. According to the route planner, we have 2 more stops before we're to Sanibel, in Gainesville, Florida, and Ellenton, Florida. And we will be there about 2 o'clock this afternoon. It is currently 6 a.m. So we have, I believe that's 8 hours. We are leaving with a 89%, 90% charge, 220 miles of range. We have 146 miles to Gainesville.
So as I said, I had a phone call that I had to stay on, and I couldn't really jump out of the car and disconnect and I had my computer out and some other stuff during the call. So I just stayed there till the call was over. Then I put everything away, got out, and left. I didn't really look at where I was at. I was in 80-some%. I know that I was at the slow end of the charging. But it turns out if I had stayed just a little bit longer, I would not have had to stop at all. So maybe I messed up a little bit, and I should have stayed, because the map gives you a circle, except in Florida it's not really a circle because the shape of Florida.
of how far your range is, and I am just outside of it. Now, I've never really pressed this all the way to the limit, so I don't know for sure, but I think I probably could have made it. I think I could also slow down and maybe still make it, but I think the faster thing will be for a quick, maybe 10-minute charge, and then I'll have a little bit of juice when I get to the house too. So the truck was wanting me to go to somewhere here in near Bradenton. I'm going to push it a little further. There's Electrify America at Punta Gorda. It is 44 miles away. I have 46 miles of range. What could possibly go wrong? We paid all that money for the extended range for that big battery. We might as well use it all. We're down to our last 2%. We have 5 miles of range. And we made it with 2% range, 5 miles of range. Plenty. Here we are at the Sanibel Island Causeway. The trip was 1,255 miles. We spent about 6 hours charging, although we were also eating, going to the bathroom, and doing other things during that time, so it's not like it added the full 6 hours to the trip, and another 6 hours at a sleeping stop. We arrived on Sanibel with 32% state of charge and a projected range of 73 miles. Overall, we used 678 kilowatts of electricity and averaged 1.85 miles per kilowatt hour. According to my math, I spent $192 on electricity, including the 93% I left home with. My old F-150 maybe would get 16 miles per gallon on a trip like this at these speeds, so it would have used 78.4 gallons of gas. At $4.50 per gallon, that would be $353 in gasoline costs, so the cost was over 40% less. Please keep in mind that road trips are the most expensive charging. 90% of charging occurs at home at rates of around 10 to 15 cents per kilowatt hour, while Electrify America charges at least 31 cents per kilowatt hour to fast charge. While this was a mad dash, just get there fast trip, our return trip will not be. We intend to take our time, 8 days and 7 nights on a less direct, less interstate, more back roads route to get home. We intend to camp each night in our tent or in the back seat of the truck if the weather is truly awful. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when we release that upcoming video of our first camping trip in the F-150 Lightning. Thank you.